The last piece of advice that I would truly like to light on fire and launch into space.
Oh my goodness!
They toughed out a lot of back then that we don't have to tough out anymore. It's actually really unsafe advice. Rubbing it like this and then they open just a little bit and then you're like, and you shove it in. This is not your Mima's breastfeeding advice. There is a lot of advice out there when it comes to breastfeeding that is completely outdated. I have been in labor and delivery since 2012. I am also a certified breastfeeding specialist. We are talking 4 myths today, 4 pieces of very outdated advice, but I'm also going to go over what we do know now so that you can have a more successful breastfeeding journey. The first thing you need to forget is feeding on a schedule. Our babies are not clocking in and clocking out for work. They do not work on a schedule or on a set calendar. We should be feeding our babies, especially our newborn babies, on demand and watching for their hunger cues to tell us, yeah, I'm hungry. I'm a little peckish. I could use some milk. Because when you feed on demand, you are giving them what they need in the moment that they need it, as opposed to trying to make them last a little bit longer in between feeds. And if you take a look at this right here, on the left, this is you feeding on a schedule. Let's say every set number of hours, every 3 hours or every 2 hours, you're going to feed baby a certain amount. You can take a look at the milk that ends up in their tummy at the end of 24 hours, give or take, because they're going to actually digest it. Whereas on the right, if you are feeding on demand, you're sort of feeding a little here, a little there, a bigger feed when they need it, a smaller feed when they're just nibbling. But overall, in a 24-hour period, they are actually taking in more milk, which is going to support their immunity, and it is also going to support their growth and development because they are telling you what they need as opposed to you telling them what they need. Now, it's really important that you actually pay attention to baby's early hunger cues when you are feeding on demand. This is why skin to skin in those first couple of days is really amazing, because if you are breastfeeding your baby, then they are right there and able to latch immediately when you start to see those first early hunger cues, instead of, waiting till they are shrieking the big pterodactyl cries and then trying to get them latched onto a breast that they are still learning how to get latched onto. So the early hunger cues, the licking the lips, sticking the tongue out, putting their hands in their mouth, when you start to see those, you are then going to go ahead and latch your baby and do a feed according to what they need, or you are going to give them their bottle. But remember, if you are bottle feeding, either formula or pumped breast milk, babies' tummies in the beginning, they are teeny, teeny, tiny. So we are looking for smaller volumes more often based on the hunger cues that they are giving you. When you feed them larger volumes too often, we risk overfeeding, which can increase symptoms of reflux. On the topic of feeding on a schedule, I also want to mention that giving water in between feeds to have baby go longer is also really, really outdated advice. It's actually really unsafe advice. So babies under 6 months old do not need any water at all and should not have water. A couple of reasons for this. First off, if you are giving a baby water, you're going to fill up their teeny tiny tummy, which by the way does not require a large volume to fill up. And then they might miss their own hunger cues and not really show you that they are hungry for the nutrients and the calories and the fats and the immune factors that is in the meal that they were about to have before we filled up their tummy with water. So the first thing is it's going to mess up their calorie intake. The other reason is that it can actually cause something called water intoxication. Because you got to remember, babies' kidneys, they are teeny tiny and they are still sort of learning their role at really moving things around and filtering things out. So when baby takes in more water than they need, the kidneys have a really hard time, which can spill excess water into their bloodstream, which can actually dilute the things that's supposed to be in their blood, which can cause big, big problems for little babies down the road. Myth number 2, breastfeeding hurts. It's supposed to hurt, just get on with it. That's breastfeeding should not hurt. Is it going to feel a certain kind of way?
Yes!
You have a new baby on freshly postpartum breasts, but should it hurt?
No!
It should not. I understand that back in the day, women were just sort of expected to tough it out because that's what they're supposed to do as women. But, they toughed out a lot of back then that we don't have to tough out anymore, and painful breastfeeding is one of them. What we should be doing if breastfeeding is hurting, we should be looking into the reason that the breastfeeding is hurting. Remember, feels a certain kind of way, shouldn't be so painful that you want to stop.
No.
Shouldn't be so painful you have to curl your toes and grit your teeth.
No.
Shouldn't be so painful that your nipple is coming out of your baby's mouth white or purple and bruised or bleeding and cracked.
No!
That is not a good latch. There is something happening in your breastfeeding journey that we need to look into and try to fix. So if you're having pain when you're breastfeeding or you are pumping, we got to figure out why you're having that pain. And I'm going to tell you right now, the biggest culprit is usually a shallow latch, meaning baby only has your nipple in their mouth. They don't have the areola and the breast tissue. Remember, we're breastfeeding, we're not nipple feeding. And the way we fix this is we start at the start. We want baby to have a wide open mouth when they latch. And we do that by utilizing nature's gift, the rooting reflex. This is the one where basically you're going to brush this nipple all around baby's mouth, maybe the bottom of the lip in the center, maybe the cheeks, and then you are going to wait until your baby opens their mouth, and then you are going to bring baby to the breast, not the other way around. Looks kind of like this. We rub, baby eventually opens up, and then we go whomp, like this. So now you notice that baby has like breast tissue, it also has areola, and it has the nipple in their mouth, as opposed to them just going like rubbing it like this, and then they open just a little bit, and then you're like, and you shove it in. So now all they have in there is the nipple, and they chomp on your nipple, and they're going to cause you a great deal of pain, possibly cracked nipples, which are then hard to heal. And I'm going to tell you this, if breastfeeding is hurting you every time you do it, and that pain is never getting better, I can guarantee you are probably going to give up on breastfeeding sooner than you initially wanted, because you're not going to expect you to do something that hurts like 8 to 12 times in a day, day after day, week after week, month after month. That's not reasonable, and that's not human nature. So we want to make it so that it's more comfortable. So baby opens their mouth, we bring baby to the breast. If you want to go one further and make it even more comfortable, what you can do is when you bring baby to the breast, you want to aim this nipple towards the roof of their mouth so that baby's chin is hitting the bottom of your breast and they're coming up and over to get that nice deep latch, and then your nipple is pointed towards their nose. This makes it so that your nipple is going to hit the top of their mouth, which causes that sucking reflex to kick in, and it causes them to draw that breast into their mouth and start suckling on the breast. These are all things that we can do to try to help that pain. Now, if you are pumping and you are experiencing pain, there's a couple of things you can do. The biggest one I would say is check into your flange size. Make sure that your flange is sized correctly to your nipple, because one that is too big or too small can lead to pain when you are pumping, and it can also lead to nipple damage and a decreased breast milk output. And the other thing that you can do is you can actually add a lubricant to your pumping experience. Myth number 3, if you're exclusively pumping, your breast milk supply is probably not going to be what your baby needs, and you can just supplement with formula. No. Now I'm going to tell you this though, babies, generally speaking, if their latch is great, they are the most efficient vacuums. They are going to be the most efficient at removing milk from your breast the most completely. But that said, with breast pump advancements in technology and the information that we have around breast pumping itself, I mean, there's no reason why your breast milk supply shouldn't be adequate to feed your baby for as long as you want to feed them your expressed breast milk. So we know better, so we do better. I'm going to tell you this, if you are exclusively pumping, I want you to invest right off the jump with a good quality electric double breast pump that plugs into the wall. These pumps, the doubles with the plug, they're always going to remove milk more completely and more efficiently than their wearable counterparts. Wearables are great for once in a while when you're out and about, but when you're talking about utilizing a breast pump only, you want to be able to remove that milk completely, because to make more milk, you need to remove more milk more often. If you are exclusively pumping and you are using a wearable pump, then you are likely leaving milk in your breasts after every single pump, which tells our brain, I don't actually have to make as much milk because there's still some in there for the baby to access. And eventually over time, you will likely notice your breast milk supply decreasing. So always utilizing that double electric breast pump as much as you can. I also want you to pay attention again to flange sizing. I just talked about it because it's so important. Making sure that your flange actually fits your nipple is great, because if it's too big or it's too small, then that can cause nipple damage, but it can also decrease your breast milk output, which again is going to cause you long-term problems. You also can add that lubricant in, always a great idea with pumping, but one additional step that you can do when you are using a breast pump because you want to keep your supply up is when you're done pumping, do hand expression for a little bit longer after you are done with that pumping session, because just naturally a breast pump will leave some of the milk farther back here. So when you do this, you are moving that milk forward and you are moving it out of the breast, which then makes it so that that milk removal session is more complete, which tells our brain, oh, I need to fill them back up. Remember the toilet flushing analogy that I have used here and there. If you don't flush the toilet and empty out that compartment with the water, then that water is not going to fill back up completely, and that can go the same way for your breast milk. And the last piece of advice that I would truly like to light on fire and launch into space,
oh my goodness,
is that you should wait for your breast milk to come in before you feed your baby. Just supplement in the meantime. This is the worst piece of advice that you could possibly give somebody who is just starting out on a breastfeeding journey that they are hoping is going to be successful. First off, your breast milk, it is in the form of colostrum. It is in your breast when you give birth. It's in there like halfway through your pregnancy. So it's there. What you're waiting for is for that colostrum, that thick golden milk, to transition into the more copious, mature white milk that we know and love, that's going to keep our baby moving in growth and development as they get older. But if instead of putting your baby on the breast to suckle, you actually are just waiting for that to happen and you're supplementing with formula, a couple of things are going to happen. One is that you're actually missing out on that early stimulation. So your baby's suckling at the breast, your brain goes, oh, hey, there's something there at the nipple. Maybe we should give it something more because it seems to be suckling quite intensely there. The other thing is that when your baby is suckling at the breast in those early hours, they are actually removing that colostrum. So first off, they are getting all of those benefits of the colostrum that's already in there, okay? They're getting the calories, the nutrients, the immune factors, which is amazing for our baby to keep them going and doing that transition. But the other thing that's happening when they're suckling is they are removing that colostrum, which is telling our body that we need to make more to replace it. Go back to that toilet tank analogy I just mentioned, okay? If you never flush your toilet and drain that water tank, the toilet's never going to fill that water tank back up with new, fresh toilet water. This is a terrible analogy. But that's what's happening. Your baby removes the colostrum. Your brain says, oh, hey, that baby removed all that stuff out. We need to put that stuff back in. And so it replaces it with new colostrum, which your baby will then take out the next time they are suckling at the breast. Also, a lot of things that happen when we give formula very early on, just by nature, we seem to give babies like a little bit too much formula. We got to remember those tummies, they are teeny, teeny, tiny. So if you are supplementing, try not to give too much, because if you are giving baby too much formula in those first few hours after birth, their tummies are going to be uncomfortable. They might also be spitting up, which will make them feel uncomfortable. They might be more fussy, more crying. It's a little bit of a nasty cycle. So here's my updated 4 tips as somebody who is in the lactation world in 2026. First off, and I think this one is super important, get your baby skin to skin as soon as you can after they are born and as soon as they are showing those signs of readiness. So those early hunger cues, moving their head around, licking their lips, looking for a nipple like anywhere, get them latched to the breast and allow them to suckle. That skin to skin is great because it's going to cause you to release oxytocin, which is really helpful in supporting that breast milk development, but also that suckling of the baby at the breast. It's going to tell our body, hey, there's something happening and we need to give that baby milk, but also the removal of the colostrum gives them what they need to keep going and have those nutrients and those immune factors. But the removal of it also tells our body that we need to replace it so we can continue that breast milk cycle moving on. The next 2 work in harmony. You want a nice deep latch that's comfortable and you want to feed on demand. That comfortable deep latch, one, it's going to help you to be encouraged to continue breastfeeding long term if that's what you're hoping for, but it also is going to help your baby to feed comfortably so that they can really learn that skill of suck, swallow, breathe that they need to be successful long term as well. And the feeding on demand piece comes into play because we are learning their cues and they are getting the calories delivered to them as they need it for healthy growth and development. And lastly, for you, make sure to take care of yourself, because remember, we need you to be healthy to be able to feed your baby what they need. So lots of hydration. Have water bottles everywhere that you do breastfeeding so it's readily available. I mean, you can drink flavored water if you want, but just know that blue Gatorade is not some magical end-all cure-all. And make sure you are taking in lots of nutrients from different food groups. And remember, lactation cookies, they are not a magic pill or a magic puzzle piece. So just make sure you are rounding out your nutrition and taking in enough of it and resting as well. If you want more info on breastfeeding, you're going to find it right there in that playlist. As always, be happy, stay healthy, have fun.